Students, in the previous video lecture, we have already learned how to find out effective resistance when resistors are connected in series. And now let us learn what is the effective resistance when resistors are combinedly connected in parallel. So now looking to the circuit, there is a battery whose potential is V, and from this battery there are three resistors connected in such a way the current flowing through this circuit comes over here, and at this nodal point, this is a nodal point. A nodal point is the point where more than two wires meet. It is also called branch point or branch, and this is a branch. So when current comes over here at this branch, it gets divided into three parts because there are three paths at this position. So some current goes to first resistor, some goes to second resistor, some goes to third resistor. Like that, I1, I2, I3 are the three different currents passing through these resistors, and combining, I1 comes from this path, I2 comes from this path, I3 comes from this path. Overall, at this nodal point, again they combine to form net current I. So clearly you can understand that whenever resistors are connected in parallel, current get divided because there is different paths for current to flow through these resistors, and the effective resistance of this whole circuit can be simply seen as R effective. I consider this as R effective, and battery potential is V, and let me consider that I amount of current is flowing through the circuit. Now in parallel combination, point number 1 to be noted is current divides voltage across all resistors remains same. Voltage across all resistors remains same, but current divides. The effective circuit can be redrawn in this way. Now I can write, as current is being divided, net current entering into the node is equal to current leaving from the node, that is I1 plus I2 plus I3. That's number 2. Number 3, as potential difference across all resistors is equal. So across first resistor, check it up, this is battery, and this battery has potential here V and here 0, because it is positive terminal, potential is V. As this is connected with a wire to this point, and at this point what will be the potential V, and this negative terminal is connected to this point and it becomes 0. First resistor is connected between V and 0. Second resistor is also connected between V and 0. Third resistor is also connected between V and 0. Therefore, potential difference across all the resistors is equal. Therefore, you can simply write potential difference across each resistor. V is equal to I1R1. From here you can write I1 is equal to V divided by R1. Similarly, I2 is equal to V divided by R2. I3 is equal to V divided by R3. And from this effective circuit, you can write I is equal to V divided by R effective. Okay. Now let me take this as equation number 1, this as equation number 2, and this part as equation number 3. Now combining using 2 and 3 in 1, you can write V divided by R effective is equal to V divided by R1 plus V by R2 plus V by R3. V on both sides gets cancelled. Finally, you can write 1 by R effective is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. This is the effective resistance when resistors are connected in parallel. Now, in case of parallel combination, what you are doing is the reciprocals of the individual resistors are added to get effective resistance, and the effective resistance reciprocal is equal to sum of reciprocals of the individual resistors. That's what we have got. And one more important thing, let me take one simple circuit where there are only two resistors and you are connecting this to battery. Battery potential is V and some current goes here. Let me take it as I1. Some current goes here. Let me take it as I2. Resistance here is R1. Resistance here is R2. Net current will be equal to I. I is equal to I1 plus I2. Now in this case, you can write R effective is equal to R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. If at all there are only two resistors which are connected, directly you can write, instead of taking 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2, most of the times what you will do is you will forget to take reciprocal when you are using this formula 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2. So in that case, like in order to avoid that, directly you can use this relation R effective is equal to R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. And current in the circuit I1 is equal to R2 divided by R1 plus R2 into I. Similarly, I2 is equal to R1 divided by R1 plus R2 into I. This is the way you can find out current in the circuit. Individual current in each resistor can be calculated by using this relation. I1 is equal to R2 by R1 plus R2 into I. I2 is equal to R1 divided by R1 plus R2 into I. I is net current and that current get divided according to the value of resistors. So that is what you need to keep it in your mind. And of course, these relations we have already learnt in capacitors also. Same thing we are doing here. But it is in case of capacitor, in series combination reciprocals are added. In parallel combination they are added directly. But in resistors, in series combination resistors are added directly, whereas in parallel combination reciprocals are added in order to get reciprocal of the effective resistance. Yeah, students, let me explain these few concepts regarding resistors. So in this concept, what it is being given, a uniform wire of resistance R. Say you are taking a wire of resistance R. This is stretched to m times its initial length. It is being stretched to m times its initial length. And this is bent into a regular polygon of n sides. It is being bent into regular polygon of n sides. Now what you are doing, this is bent into a polygon of n sides like this. Like there can be n number of sides. Polygon have many number of sides and here n can be 3. If n is equal to 3, it become a triangle. If n is equal to 4, it become a rectangle or a polygon, a rectangle or a rhombus like that. If n is equal to 6, then it become a hexagon like that. So there are n number of sides here. What it is being given in the problem? In this case, here as it is being bent into n sides, resistance of the wire after stretching is dash. You need to find out the effective resistance here. I need to find out R dash. Okay. As we know that here this is in the form of recasting. You are recasting the material, therefore volume remains constant. Volume is constant. Therefore resistance R is directly proportional to square of the length. Initial length, if I am considering it as R, initial length I am considering it as L. Final length, it has been increased to ML. Therefore R dash is directly proportional to ML whole square. Therefore R dash is proportional to M square L square. Then R dash is equal to M square into, what is L square? L square is R. Therefore the final resistance after recasting is M square into R. Okay, this is the final resistance. Now coming to next concept, resistance of each side. Resistance of each side. Each side is been like you are recasting it into a form of a polygon which has n number of sides. Therefore, each resistance, each side resistance, in order to find out that, like, let me consider that as R1. R1 is like, I'll take it as R2. R2 is the resistance of each side. Resistance of each side. Okay. So totally resistance is M square R, and you are bending it into n number of parts, like you are bending it into m parts, and each like this polygon has n number of sides. Therefore, resistance R2 is equal to, what is the total resistance of the polygon? Total resistance of the polygon is m square R. You are now asked to find out resistance of each side. How many sides are there for this polygon? N sides are there. Therefore, you will just divide it with n. So R2, which is resistance of each side, will become m square R divided by n. That is R2. Next, this is A completed, B completed. Coming to C. Resistance across diagonally opposite points. Resistance across diagonally opposite point means, say for example, you have a hexagon. This is a hexagon, and this is one point, and this is opposite point. Diagonally opposite points are A and B. Observe this figure. I have drawn here hexagon. N is equal to 6 in this case because this polygon has 6 sides. A and B are the opposite, diagonally opposite points. I want to now find out the effective resistance. So how to find out effective resistance? Check it up. This total become R1. This total effective resistance become R2. R1 and R2 are in parallel. How do you write R1? Each side resistance is m square R divided by n. As there are 3 sides here, these 3 are combination in series. So R1 you can write it as m square R divided by n is equal to 6. As these are connected in series, plus m square R divided by 6 plus m square R divided by 6. Similarly, R2 is also equal to 3 into m square R divided by 6. R1 and R2 both are connected in parallel. So how do you write effective resistance? R will be equal to R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. Take this and substitute here, so that you will be getting effective resistance, right? This is the way between the opposite ends, opposite diagonals. If you want to find out the resistance, you should simply know which are connected in series and which are connected in parallel, and then you can find out the effective resistance in the circuit. For that, you have one direct relation that I am giving you. Direct relation is R0 is equal to n by 2 R2 divided by 2, or you can write it as R0 is equal to m square R divided by 4. It is R0 is equal to m square R divided by 4. This is the resistance across diagonally opposite points, because when you are dealing with n number of sides, if they are diagonally opposite points, that becomes half of the n number. See, check it up. Suppose here n is equal to 6. Diagonally opposite points are A and B. So then in such case, half of this part become n is equal to 3. Left side there are 3 sides, right side there are 3 sides. Left side these 3 sides are series, right side these 3 sides are in series. Combinedly you are adding those two of equal resistance, so that it become again half. Therefore R0 you can simply write it as n by 2 times R2 divided by 2. This is the final expression you need to remember. Okay, or you can even take R0 is equal to m square R divided by 4. This also you can use. These are the direct relations in order to find out the effective resistance in the circuit. Let us take it is been bent into a hexagon. In the last case, resistance across one side in the sense. Check it up. There are 6 number of sides, 6 sides. Out of which this is first side and remaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry, there are total number 7 sides. And 1, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these are 6 sides. Okay, these 6 sides are in series. 6 sides are in series. And what about resistance of each side? Resistance of each side is m square r. There are 6 sides here, so 6 into m square r divided by n. N is of course 7 because total number of sides is 7 for this particular figure. And this is one side. And what about its resistance? It is m square r divided by 7. These two are connected in parallel. So how do you write R effective? R effective will be equal to 6 m square r by 7 into m square r divided by 7 divided by 7 m square r divided by 7. Check it up. R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So 6 plus 1 becomes 7 here. This 7 and 7 gets cancelled. This m square r and m square r gets cancelled. Finally left over with 6 m square r divided by 7 square. Okay. Now you can cross check this. You can cross check this. What is the 6? 6 is n minus 1. M square r divided by, what is denominator? Denominator is n. N square. So any number of sides you can take, you can use this formula. N minus 1 into m square r divided by n square gives you the resistance across each side. Yeah. Students, let us solve this problem where you are being given a battery of 12 volt. Battery is having a potential difference of 12 volt and its internal resistance is 0.5 ohm. About battery, EMF and internal resistance we will discuss in next coming video lectures. For time being, you just remember that every battery will have some internal resistance. So that battery which is being provided here, which is of 12 volt, is having a resistance of 0.5 ohm. It too offers some resistance 0.5 ohm. And there are infinite number of resistors connected here, 1 ohm, 1 ohm, 1 ohm. And you cannot exactly decide which are connected in series and which are connected in parallel. Therefore, what you will do, you will find out, you will consider this total effective resistance. We will be considering this total effective resistance as this total effective resistance. Let us consider it as R. I'll consider it as R. R is the effective resistance here. Okay. And of course, this model we have already learned in capacitors video lectures. Capacitors, in that also we will be taking some n number of infinite capacitors. And what did we do there? Even there also we have took like this part, this infinite number of resistors finally combined to give a resistance R. Now you redraw the circuit. I am redrawing the circuit. This gives you, this is resistance 0.5 ohm and this is 12 volt. So I am separating this 0.5 ohm resistance from the battery. And here there is 1 ohm resistance and here there is 1 ohm resistance and here there is 1 ohm resistance, and this total is connected to resistance R. This is 1 ohm. That becomes the effective circuit. Okay. So as this is the effective circuit, R and this 1 ohm both are connected in parallel. So if R and 1 ohm both are connected in parallel, what do you write for this part? Check it up, this part. This part, R dash is equal to 1 into R divided by 1 plus R. This is R divided by 1 plus R, that is R dash. And how is that R dash connected? R dash is connected in series with 1 ohm and this 1 ohm and this 0.5 ohm. So what does this effective circuit become? Effective circuit become 0.5 ohm and this is 1 ohm and this is R dash and there is a battery here. This is 1 ohm. This is R dash. It is 1 ohm and this is 0.5 and the voltage is 12. Okay. Now I want to find out the effective resistance, right? So in order to find out the effective resistance, see 0.5 ohm, 1 ohm, R dash and 1 ohm, all of these are connected in series combination. Yes. So as they are connected in series combination, simply use series formula, that is R dash, R double dash is equal to 0.5 plus 1 plus R dash plus 1 ohm. R double dash is equal to 1 plus 1 is 2, 2.5 plus what is R dash? R dash is R divided by 1 plus R, and this can be simply equal to R since R dash is approximately equal to R. As we already know that for very large value R is greater than 1 because we are considering this R resistance as which is the combination of infinite number of resistors. Therefore R value is much greater than the combined 1 ohm, combined 1 ohm, combined 1 ohm. This R is much greater than 1, 1, 1. Therefore, if you are adding 1 to this R, what would happen? It is approximately equal to R. Just like imagine like from the ocean, you are just removing one bucket of water. Its level neither increase nor decrease, and even if there is slight decrease, you could not feel that. Therefore, we are using the concept here, R double dash will be approximately equal to R. So left hand side it become R, which is equal to 2.5 into 1 plus R divided by 1 plus R. Okay, this becomes R into 1 plus R is equal to 2.5 into 1 plus R plus R. Okay, now R into 1 plus R, like you can multiply this. It is R plus R square is equal to 2.5 plus 2.5 R plus R. Okay, now this gives you R and R gets cancelled, so finally it is R square minus 2.5 R minus 2.5 is equal to 0. This becomes a quadratic expression which is in the form of ax square minus bx minus c is equal to 0. From here you can find out the root. Minus b is equal to plus or minus, sorry, root is x is equal to minus b. Let me write it clearly. X is equal to minus b plus or minus under root b square minus 4ac divided by 2a, where here a is equal to 1, b is equal to minus 2.5 and c is equal to minus 2.5. Substitute ABC values here, you will be getting R. Okay, R value you will be getting. Take that R and substitute in this expression. R double dash expression is there, right? In this R double dash expression, you can substitute the value of R so that you will be getting effective resistance in the circuit. This is the procedure to solve infinite ladder problems. Kirchhoff laws are useful in solving very complicated circuits. You can find out unknown values of current or resistor or equivalent resistance using Kirchhoff laws if the circuit is more complicated. So that is the advantage of Kirchhoff laws. Kirchhoff law is the consequence of conservation of charge. It is consequence of conservation of charge. Whether it is voltage law or whether it is current law, it is based upon like charge is being conserved. That's the reason why voltage is being conserved and as well as current is also being conserved. So Kirchhoff law stands like it's the simple form of conservation of charge. And there are two forms of Kirchhoff laws. One is Kirchhoff current law and the other one is Kirchhoff voltage law. Kirchhoff current law states that, like before that, let me make it clear. I want to discuss about nodal point. Nodal point, or even it can be called as a branch point. Therefore, Kirchhoff law can also be called as Kirchhoff current law is also called Kirchhoff nodal law or even branch law. So a point in the circuit, where more than two wires meet is called a node. It is called as a node. So here, literally in this first case, Kirchhoff current law, in this figure, this is a point where there is a node, right? This point A, let me consider it as A. This point A, we have these many wires. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 wires are meeting over here. Okay. Therefore, this point is said to be as nodal point. And what you need to do in order to apply Kirchhoff law at this nodal point, first identify how many currents are entering and how many currents are leaving. Or you can even simply write Kirchhoff current law states that net current at node is equal to 0. Net current at this point A is equal to 0. Now see, there are currents entering as I1, I2, I3, which are represented with black ink. I4, I5, I6 are the currents which are leaving from the nodal point. Therefore, whatever the current is coming to this nodal point, it could not stay there. Definitely it should leave out from all those paths. So net current at the nodal point is equal to 0. And or you can write current entering into the nodal point is equal to current leaving from the nodal point. Current entering is I1 plus I2 plus I3 is equal to I4 plus I5 plus I6. That's what we have been written here. I1 plus I2 plus I3 is equal to I4 plus I5 plus I6. So simply you can write it as I1 plus I2 plus I3 minus I4 minus I5 minus I6 is equal to 0. This gives you net current at the nodal point is equal to 0. That means summation over I net, where I is equal to 1 to n, will be equal to 0. This is the form of Kirchhoff nodal law or branch law. And Kirchhoff law is always applicable only at Kirchhoff current law is applicable only at nodes. Remember that it is applicable only at nodes. Now coming to Kirchhoff voltage law. Voltage law is applicable for closed loops. Voltage law is applicable for loops. Loops or voltage law is applicable between 2 points in a loop. So you can apply Kirchhoff voltage law for closed loops or 2 points in any loop. For example, here in this figure we have a loop. Let me take this point as A, this point as B, this point as C, this point as D. You can apply Kirchhoff law as a whole for the loop A, B, C, D, A, or you can apply Kirchhoff voltage law only for the part of the loop between 2 points B and C. In between B and C even, you can apply Kirchhoff voltage law. Or between B and D, you can apply Kirchhoff voltage law. Between A and B, you can apply Kirchhoff voltage law. But it should be a path for the current, only a single path for the current. Therefore, when we are dealing with voltage law, you need to check it whether it is a loop or not. A loop is that where there is one single path for the current. That is what you need to understand. Now here we have only one closed loop. This is closed loop starting at A, B, C, D, A. This is one closed loop. So for this closed loop, you can apply Kirchhoff voltage law such that you can start at point A, and from point A there is voltage dropped across this component. That voltage I am considering it as V1, because you are going from see these terminals. It is positive terminal, it is negative terminal. This is positive terminal, this is negative terminal. Positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, and the last one here is also positive, negative. Coming to this last one, it is different. Check it up. Negative, negative, positive. Okay, so you need to understand the difference clearly. So we are connecting this in this with opposite terminals. Like this is voltage source. Okay, so total voltage, here is the source, voltage source, and remaining all are consumers. So within an electrical circuit, there will be sources and there will be consumers. Total voltage supplied by the sources will be equal to total voltage dropped across the consumers. Okay, so total voltage dropped across the consumers will be equal to total voltage supplied across the total voltage supplied within that particular circuit. Okay, now let me write down this Kirchhoff voltage law for this second circuit. Now check it up. Here, what is our total voltage supplied? Total voltage supplied is V5. Right, I am considering it as V, not V5, it is Vs. This is Vs. That is the voltage supplied. Voltage supplied is equal to voltage used, or you can write it as voltage dropped. Voltage dropped is V1 here, V2 here, V3, V4, V5, V6 and V7. So literally I can write it as V1 plus V2 plus V3 plus V4 plus V5 plus V6 plus V7 should be equal to voltage of the source. Total voltage supplied will be equal to total voltage dropped across these components. Components can be capacitors or resistors, any device it can be. But remember that total voltage which you are providing will be dropped across all these resistors or all these capacitors, all these components. Or you can even write V1 plus V2 plus V3 plus V4 plus V5 plus V6 plus V7 minus Vs is equal to 0. Simply you can write it as minus Vs is equal to 0. That is how you will be using voltage law, which is applicable for loops or 2 points in the loops. And when you are using Kirchhoff voltage law, remember these rules according to sign conventions. Remember these sign conventions. When you are going from negative terminal to positive terminal of the battery, whose voltage is V, take it as plus V. Similarly, you are going from positive terminal to negative terminal of the battery, take voltage source as minus V. If your path is from negative to positive, you take it as plus V. If your path is from positive to negative, take it as minus V. Similarly, if you are going across a resistor in which current I and your path is also in the same direction, then in such case you should take it as minus IR. That means voltage is dropped across this resistor R. So if your path and current both are in the same direction, then you need to take minus IR. Likewise, if there is resistor here whose current is I, resistance is R, but your path is opposite. If you are going in opposite direction, then take it as plus IR. Okay, so these are the sign conventions which you need to use when you are using Kirchhoff voltage law. Negative terminal to positive terminal of the battery, take plus V. Positive terminal to negative terminal of the battery, take minus V. And if your path and current both are in the same direction, voltage is dropped across there, so I take it as minus IR. If your path and current are in opposite direction, voltage is being added over there, so you will be taking plus IR. And these sign conventions are like some teachers and some textbooks may give you these in opposite form, like negative to positive they will be taking here minus V, and here you will be getting plus V, or here plus IR and minus IR. That is their wish. Final answer will not be changed even though you are taking opposite signs, which I have told you. Okay, final answer, only the thing is you will be getting either, if you are taking these sign conventions which I have told, if you get a positive value, if you are reversing the sign conventions, you will get answer negative value. That's it, but magnitude is not affected. So these are the sign conventions. As you are my students, you follow my rules. Whatever I am teaching you, those rules you follow to solve these Kirchhoff law problems.